Hello, welcome to our channel Elimika Mtandaoni. We are in the second video in the series of videos on principles of programming, and today we'll be talking about programming basic syntax. As we know that all programming languages have some primitive building blocks, which we call them syntax. These syntaxes of languages are textual. That means the primitives are combined by programmers to compose new programs. As we have said, syntaxes, these refer to the rules that define the structure of a language. Syntax in computer programming languages, it means that the control, the structure of the symbols, the control of the structure of the punctuations and words of the programming language. So these are the rules that they define that structure of a programming language. Without a syntax, the meaning or the semantics of any language is nearly impossible to understand. For example, think of these series of English words. For example, if somebody says subject and need and does sentence a verb, what do you get by those words? They are just words that are scattered. Listen again: subject and need and does sentence a verb. You see that sentence, it has little meaning if it has no syntax. But if we apply syntax into such words, the results of the sentence could be, let's say, we could say, does a sentence need a subject or a verb? So you see, we say, does a sentence need a subject or verb? So there we have applied the syntax, and it gets, or it gives a meaning to the sentence. So programming languages function on the same principles. If the syntax of a language is not followed, the code will not be understood by a compiler or an interpreter. So syntaxes are very important. As in the previous videos, we said that compilers convert programming languages such as Java, C or C++ into binary code that computer can understand. If the syntax is incorrect, then the code will not compile. And interpreters, in fact, execute programming languages such as JavaScript or Python. The execution occurs at runtime, and the incorrect syntax will cause the code to fail. That is why it is crucial. It is very important that a programmer pays close attention to the language syntax. No programmer likes to get a syntax error. So if you don't want to get a syntax error, then make sure that you apply proper syntaxes to your code. We have basic syntaxes. Speaking of a basic syntax, in fact, basic syntax represent the fundamental rules of a programming language. Without these rules, it is impossible to write functioning code. Every language has its own set of rules that make up a basic syntax. We have naming conventions. In fact, naming conventions, these are the primary component of basic syntax conventions, and they vary by language. We have a number of conventions such as case sensitivity. Programming languages such as Java, C++, and Python, these are examples of languages that are case sensitive. Their identifiers, they differ in meanings if there are some characters that differ. For example, if we write the word, let's say, think of this, you write the word world. The word world, this differs from the word world. So case sensitivity is a very important thing to consider when you are dealing with programming languages such as C and C++ or Java or Python. Languages such as BASIC and SQL are case insensitive. They don't care if you say SQL and you say SQL. With these languages, these have the same meaning, but with other languages such as C++ and C, they give a different meaning. So different languages may have different rules for adding comments. There are different rules for using namespace or for declaring variables. For example, object-oriented languages such as Java and C++ use methods that have different syntax requirements. The first step in learning any programming language, this is to put emphasis. The first step in learning any programming language is to understand the basics such as phrase structure, proper syntax, and correctly structured code. So let's now see C++ syntax. So let us look at the C++ program that prints a sentence, Elimika mtandaoni, or karibu elimika mtandaoni. So I will shift the screen. Let me shift the screen and open integrated environment. Integrated development environment, so that I can show you how you can write a program. As you can see here, we have a C++ program. So for this example, ignore the first sentence that is written, include IOStream, and the second sentence using namespace std. All C++ programs start with the we must start with the main. This is a function, we call it main, as you can see here, main, and it is followed by a left curly bracket. That is the left curly bracket, and the left curly brackets, this convention indicates that this is the start of the program, and at the end of a program we have the right curly bracket. It means that this is the end of a program. Then in between here, there is where we will write our instructions. For example, here we have an instruction that is written cout elimika mtandaoni. So this elimika mtandaoni, it means that this is an instruction that tells the computer to print the word elimika mtandaoni onto the screen. And at the end of this sentence here, you find a semicolon. So all statements in C++ must end with a semicolon. If you remove a semicolon, then you will get what we call a syntax error. So we will try to compile this program and execute it to see what it will show us. So I'll click here, run. As you can see here, it is compiling. It is compiling. As I've told you what compilation means, you see now this is the output, elimika mtandaoni. So we can again write something else here. So let us maybe want our program to print welcome to our channel, to print another word, welcome to our channel, welcome to our channel. Welcome to our channel. Then you put these quotes again. So we have talked about the syntax. Now at this program, I want to put a semicolon, and let us see what will happen if I don't put a semicolon. So I will try to run this program, and let us see what happens. As you see, there is an error that has occurred, and this error is what we call a syntax error. So if we don't want this error to appear again, then at the end of every C++ program we have to put a semicolon. So I have put a semicolon there, and I run that program, and you will see it will print elimika mtandaoni, welcome to our channel. Oh, there is another error that I see here. welcome to our channel Elimika Mtandaoni, and this is see out these codes here. Now I will run again and see another problem. This is count instead of see out, so it is also syntax error. Now I'll run again. So I have see out Elimika Mtandaoni, see out welcome to our channel, and now boom, you see we have removed all those syntactic errors, and now it has printed Elimika Mtandaoni welcome to our channel. So there are a number of syntaxes that are followed by a C++ program. For example, if you want to add a comment here, as placing a comment, especially at the start of each function or subroutine, is the best coding practice. So I will put here a comment to say that this is a program for testing. So this is a program for testing. This is a program for testing. As you can see, that is a comment for C++ program, and comments are normally for programmers. They explain what the program is all about. They are not executed, or they are not displayed on the screen. So here we won't see anything if we run this program, despite the fact that we have put a comment. So as you can see, whatever will happen happened. And we have another type of comment. If we have more than one line and you want to comment more than one line, for example, we had another line like this, then we use this type of comment. We use this type of comments for multiple lines. So you put a followed by a star, then you put your words, and in the end you put a star followed by /. Again, if you run this program, then you see that is what has happened. We talked about case sensitivity. For example, we will talk about these things later in the when we go deep into writing programs in C++. For example, we can have an identifier. Let's say we have an identifier. We say x int word or int name. So int name, say int num to mean a number. Then after we have said that, we say semicolon. Then we say number. Now we are trying to put the word number is equal to 4. Then again we see out. We see out that number. Now let us see what will happen. So if we try to run this program, it will give us a syntactic error. And why it will give us a syntactic error? It is because, as you can see here, it explains we have the word number which has not been defined. We said here int number, and here we have put a capital N, the first character as a capital N. So this is the result of changing a case of the word. So if we change this word to a small letter n and we try to run this program, then the program will give us a value of 4. It will print the value of 4. So as you can see the word 4 there, and Elimika Mtandaoni, welcome to our channel. So that is how we define syntaxes. Now let's move on with our programs. why is it important to have syntax? Why is syntax important? Syntax, in fact, improves code readability, and hence it ensures that the 4 C's of coding are maintained. Speaking of the 4 C's, if we follow syntax, then our code will be able to communicate our codes. That means some other people other than the ones that have written the program can read such program and can communicate and understand those programs. We have other criteria like code integration, consistency, and clarity. The concept behind convention is to make the code explain itself. If the code is self-explanatory, then the focus can be on design and program improvement and not on what does this mean. So using consistent standards means that the code is predictable and discoverable when read by other programmers. When code does not follow conventions, then it becomes disorganized and difficult to read, and it becomes what is known as a spaghetti code, a code that cannot be understood. Now let's talk about the programming languages. The computer system is simply a machine, and hence it cannot perform any work by itself. So therefore, in order to make it functional, then we have different languages that are developed, which are known as programming languages, or simply we call them computer languages. So each of these languages, they come with their own set of vocabularies, their own set of rules. These rules, as we have said, they are called, or they are better known as syntax. Furthermore, while writing the computer language, then syntax has to be followed literally, as even a small mistake will result in an error and not generate the required output. That is what we have seen in the previous slide, in the previous section. I showed you if we change or we don't consider syntax, then there are some errors that are followed. So there are major categories of computer programming languages. There are major categories of computer programming languages. There are those that we call machine languages. Speaking of machine language, this is a language that is written for the computer hardware. Such language is affected directly by central processing unit, called CPU, of the computer. In fact, a machine language is a binary language that can easily be understood by computers. Hence, it can be directly executed by a CPU without absolutely no need for compilers or interpreters. We have another programming language that we call assembly language. It is a language of an encoding of a machine code that makes it simpler and readable. Assembly language falls between a high-level language and machine language. It is in between there. It has syntaxes that are similar to English, but they are more difficult to read as compared to high-level programming languages. It is a kind of programming language that is mostly seen in embedded systems. Speaking of high-level languages, this is languages that are easy for programmers to write as well as to understand. Programmers use simple and easy syntax to address a specific task. For example, if you use a Python language, if you use a Python language and you want to print something on the screen, you just write print and you put your whatever you want to print there. The same with the C language. The same also, you can just write print and you put these syntaxes can be understood by cannot easily be understood by CPU. So they need converted internally to binary format, which CPU can understand by such mediums such as compilers and the interpreters. High-level languages, as we have said, they are simple and they are easy to understand, and they are similar to English languages. For example, such languages like COBOL, languages like Fortran, Basic, C, C++, C#, Python, Java, all these are high-level languages, and they are very important as they help in developing complex softwares, and they have several advantages. One among the advantages is simply because they are similar to natural languages, therefore they are easy to learn and easy to understand, and they are designed in such a way that to detect errors is very immediate. But although a high-level language has many benefits, yet it also has some drawbacks. For example, it has a poor control on machine hardware. So it is not easy for high-level language to communicate directly with a machine. We have several high-level programming languages that are frequently used. We have such languages like SQL, SQL, we have Java, we have JavaScript, C#, Python, PHP, iOS, Ruby Rails, and .NET programming languages. In this series of videos, we will use C++ programming languages for most of our examples. So this is the end of our second video on principles of programming. Please stay there. When we come with the third video, we'll be explaining more about the basic element of programming languages. Thank you very much for following Elimika Mtandaoni. My name is Agustino Mogos. Ciao.